Alright, what's up, guys? Don't mind the lighting. I'm sorry for the lighting. Alright, so, sure, you can't really see me that much, but that's not the issue. Focus on my voice, alright? This is one of the deaf ones. So, let's focus on different structures and types of government, alright? Now, I split these in three categories. Number one, federal government. These federal governments basically mean that, okay, there's a federal government and these state governments. The federal government is the biggest, but it's controlled by the state governments. And the state governments are smaller, however, they have a control of the bigger one. And then there's confederations. Confederations are basically a bunch of independent states that unite under a controlled central government. It's like, okay, we made you the central government, but we want our rights. Basically, it's kind of like a federal government. However, it's much rarer. The most known one is, the Confederate States of America, which were, not all that great because, well, they supported racism and slavery. Now, last but not least, we also have two extra ones, tyrannical and oligarchic. Tyrannical governments are basically, okay, this entire government is one man and his advisors. All right, for examples of dictator or tyrannical governments are, of course, Soviet governments, Soviet Union, China, Cambodia, and North Korea. Cambodia being, Pol Pot. He's a terrible guy. Now, of course, we also have oligarchic. Oligarchic governments are basically just a small amount of elites that control everything else. So, basically, tyrannical, but with extra steps. Examples of oligarchic nations are also monarchy nations. Monarchs are also tyrants, but occasionally they're also, oligarchs. For example, the Habsburgs, the Holy Roman Empire, the French Empire, etc. Now, of course, these are some other factors that count into, government. Number one, of course, for example, in the United States of America, 3 branches to make sure that no branch is as strong as the other. Now, of course, we have legislative, executive, and judicial. Legislative, Congress, they write the laws. And then there's executive, who includes the president, the armed forces, and the military. So obviously, they make people do the laws. And then there's judicial, the Supreme Court, with every single minor court in the United States. Basically, we're gonna check this law, see if it follows our constitution or not. All right. So basically, do the check-in. So of course, that's the United States of America. Now let's go to countries like Hitler's Germany. Hitler's Germany. Well, there were 3 branches when the Weimar government, government after World War I's defeat. However, well, that was dissolved. All right. So he was at top. And then he split into multiple branches of military and government. There's Reichskommissariats, or basically puppet states that follow the Reich's total command. Then there were Ordensstaats, which were intended to be put after winning World War II, but they didn't. So, yeah. And last but not least, of course, we also have central governments. These governments are very closely tied to Germany and basically have little to no autonomy. They're just put there to, satiate or please the local government, local people, so that way they don't rebel. Now, of course, that is, well, pros and cons of government. Of course, not every tyrant is actually bad. All right. So I'll give you for example, Genghis Khan. Sure, he massacred 40 million people in his conquest, but he included freedom of religion, spread intellect and art and technology around the world, etc. And also he united warring nations from perpetual wars into united people. All right, and then of course oligarchic nations. Well, there's not a lot of many good oligarchic nations if you think about it. So yeah, thanks for listening to what I have to say. Goodbye. I'll see you next time.